Now is the time to know your consciousness. Whatever exists is only the Parabrahman. It is also known as Vastu, that which exists. We call him God, and in order to gratify the mind, we describe his virtues and qualities in countless ways. But the Parabrahman, or the Paramatman, is without a beginning, and human beings have just arrived recently. Hence, we are unable to describe it adequately. The Mula Maya, or the primordial ignorance, arises from the manifestation. From that arises the mistaken identity along with this body and the world outside. The 5 elements and the 3 gunas arise simultaneously from Maya. The source is Parabrahman, which is like a screen where this show is played. What we see as the universe is nothing but the game of that Maya, the illusion. How then can we describe Brahman in a language and vocabulary of this illusory universe? And yet, the universe provides pointers to that reality. The 5 elements that have no consciousness in themselves, which constitute this universe, also run it automatically without any needed activity of Brahman. As the 5 elements are without consciousness, whatever happens is spontaneous. The entire flora and fauna, from worms to animals, all bodies are made up of the 5 elements, including sattva of the earth. Consciousness manifest in the living beings as the sense of being, the sense that I exist. Everything around us changes, ages, and gets destroyed, but this consciousness does not change. It is necessary to understand the origin of this consciousness. What gives rise to this sense of being? How to cognize it? Knowing it tantamount to sanctifying ourselves. It is accomplished by knowing one's true nature. To do this, one must lose the attachment to the mind, which means our being absorbed into ourselves. That state is full of happiness. When no words can describe that experience, it is said to be the state of samadhi. Mind still exists there, but its agitation is silenced. This state brings about true happiness in life. It is life without the turmoil caused by the agitating mind, since in this state there is a permanent awareness of one's being, unaffected by the vicissitudes and ups and downs of life. The state in which the mind is silent and devoid of agitation is known as unmani, whereas deep relaxation of mind during sleep that is induced by yoga is known as yoga nidra. Once the source of consciousness is known, even while dying, the person remains undisturbed by the process, for he knows what arises shall also set. We enjoy the things that a mind can grasp, but one must witness that which witnesses all this grasping, understanding, and liking, that which illumines the mind and intellect must be cognized as our true nature. That you and I exist is satya, a fact within the realm of mithya, the unreal. Reality is omnipresent and is accessible to all, but is not evident to everyone. Reality is eternal, infinite, and yet it is not aware of itself. Only when it has the sense of being, it is able to recognize its own presence, the awareness that I exist. The truth is eternal and infinite, but is not conscious of its own existence. Sometimes there is witnessing of its existence, but it is untouched by memory. It is different from all other experiences. Brahman is absolute and entirely non-dual. The 5 elements give rise to the apparent duality of Purusha, the infinite awareness, and Prakriti, the universe and everything in it. From these rise the living beings with gunas, the qualities. These qualities enable a being to witness the happenings. But there is no gain or loss. It's our identification with the body that provides the feeling of gaining and losing. Gunas stir the universe, but to the pure awareness, that which is a mere witness of these events, there is nothing to gain or lose from the happenings in the universe. The universe is bound to end, but the seer of the universe is immortal and eternal. We believe that we act due to our mind. However, the actions are due to the mental modifications that are now in the presence of consciousness, while the knower of this consciousness is eternal. The knower of this fact receives grace from the power of consciousness. One's identification with the body is the cause of helplessness and fear. One must know that we are the knower of consciousness, due to which we know that we are. Our being is always surrounded with the world, and the actions are due to mental modifications. Your child consciousness stays with you until the end, and then it disappears. The waking state is no more, and one dissolves into the true and eternal state, that which existed prior to appearance of consciousness. One must not identify with the body, but must know that the body is the food of one's consciousness. One's purpose of existence is then attained, and his consciousness becomes tranquil. True selfishness is to know oneself and to abide in that awareness. One who does that loses all fear in life. Various unfound worries that torment you throughout life vanish if you remain in that state that you were in before your birth and shall remain after you leave the body. Befriend that formless child consciousness and chant Jai Guru. Then His grace enlightens your being and roots out the evil of ignorance. That Guru, who is in reality the formless self, is the Lord of this universe. Never forget that. He is the formless Gopala, the cowherd who takes care of the entire universe. Hold your consciousness by itself. The Lord advises that whatever happens is due to the power of time. The Lord says, "It is my power." That is what is known as Prakriti and Purusha. The seed of the entire manifestation is within us as the minutest consciousness, the feeling that I exist. This consciousness is the one that enables us to think about God and about the world. This is the Sankhya form of Prakriti and Purusha. All of this is spontaneous without a creator. From the not-knowing state, the knowing appeared. It grows, ages, and remains until one completes one's lifespan. Just as the day commences with the rising of the sun, our waking commences with the knowingness or awareness of our being and of the world outside. But just as the day has to end, this knowingness, too, has to end after it has run its cycle of time. That which is born must die. Therefore, knowingness or the sense of being is not your eternal nature. Our real nature is quite far from all this. Through this wisdom, you may continue to hold on to your sense of being and remain unaffected by the world. It is the seed of consciousness which is responsible for this happening, due to time. A day means the sun or the light, which means nothing but our sense of being. In that sense, the first day of a person has lasted for a period of 100 years. This consciousness, or light, is subtle, but uniform and continuous like space. We know when it is morning due to the seed of the visible world. This seed is not permanent. and must have qualities of rising and setting. Due to the ignorance of the seed, we think we are the body, and that leads us to a life filled with needs and fears. Constant pursuit of truth makes you enlightened. The Satguru belongs to everyone permanently. He has no form. He is not involved in the universe or in its birth, sustenance, or its end. He is Parabrahman, who is free of all concepts. That which is prior to the arrival of the body is everyone's experience. That is the great principle, the Paramatattva. He has no actions or transactions in the world that occur due to the mental modifications. A human's behavior is due to its mind and not of its consciousness. Our consciousness has appeared unknowingly. All activities belong to the body and mind. Bondage and release are both the concepts due to the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Paramatman is beyond consciousness, and hence unimaginable. When you meditate, which aspect of him will you meditate upon? Even a fool or mediocre aspirant of spirituality who has firm faith in the teachings of the Guru, if he or she applies those teachings to one's own life, such a person attains liberation despite being a mediocre sadhaka. The mind is the product of the samskaras, or conditioning. The conditioning defines one's behavior in the world. Even though the behavior of various persons is distinct and diverse, the consciousness which is the indwelling divine light is the same. We see this principle shining through innumerable beings, but let's hold on to the principle which is the true nature of all. A true aspirant must discard the notion of being the body and hold on to the understanding of one's true nature. That which is aloof of body and consciousness is not bound by time. His lifespan is not limited. What is death for such a one? His true nature is the mere witness to the body and the mind. The knower of qualities of the body is beyond consciousness. I am that, but presently I am this consciousness. One should stabilize in this. Holding on to this knowledge liberates a person in due course of time. His individuality gradually vanishes, and what is manifested remains. The path that you pursue with insistence will shape your destiny. Pursuit of truth will eventually reveal your own true nature to you. You will be it. Pursuit of mundane objects and actions will bind you to the cycle of birth and death. Consciousness takes various forms as per the firm impression on it. The universe functions to serve your consciousness. Consciousness is the quality of pure sattva, which is a kind of chemical. All qualities flow from it without any obstruction. The material of which the cinema film is made of is not affected by the contents of the scenes in the movie. Similarly, your true nature is unaffected by the projection of the universe around you. Life is the support of this universal drama, but you are not it. Keep this in mind. Keep in mind that the body is the food of consciousness, and prana is the protector. You are only a witness. The one who is enlightened is a true sannyasi. The one who loses the sense of I or ego is called a sannyasi. Sannyasa, the true renunciation, is the constant abidance in one's true nature as self. The body functions as ordained by destiny. The one who understands that it is not his real nature is a true renunciate and has lost his individuality. Such a person performs all his duties with utmost attention, but is aware all the time that all perceptions are not his real nature. Knowing that his individuality is merely an appearance in pure awareness, he remains aloof in this firm understanding. He is aware that there are various appearances in consciousness, and he is not the appearance. He is fully established in the self. His body but expresses as disembodied consciousness. Our sense of being, Hamsa, is a swan. Its knower is called Paramahamsa, the supreme swan. For him there is neither being in samadhi nor being out of it. The concepts of good and bad are absent in him, and there are no observances or abstaining from them. He does not die, just as sunlight does not die with the setting sun. The self remains forever, but it is unmanifest. Just as we have no knowledge of our own birth, there will also be no knowledge when prana leaves the body. Jiva speaks, but Shiva is the speaker. Jiva, the person, and Shiva, God, are merely symbols of the same truth. There is no difference between the two. You speak the words and you also hear them. The one who is in the world of words and their meanings is the individual entity, the Jiva, and the one who is silent, unaffected, an unchanging witness to all this is Shiva, the universal self. Jiva is a result of the life force that enables the unmanifest to express itself into life and to perform the activities of life. Shiva remains the unmanifest and does not appear or disappear. The one who worships is the Jiva, and the one who is worshipped is Shiva, although in essence they are one and the same. Shiva does not participate in any activity but is only a witness. Until one meditates on consciousness, one does not lose the identification with the body. As the understanding of the true nature of Shiva continues to dawn, you continue to realize being without the body even while living in it. The body is merely seen as an expression of the real you. Jiva and Shiva are not different, just as the light and the lamp that it shines from are not different. The one that is prior to the rising of name and form is the undifferentiated consciousness. The divisions we hold in the world are due to the fact that it appears as different names and forms. As long as you are conscious, there is Shiva in you. It is Shiva who is present in you as your consciousness. That which is unmanifest is Parabrahman Paramatman, but its expression, the form of Shiva, is the knowledge of being. The unfathomable God is self-evident in this knowledge of being, the knowingness. What is self-evident must be without attributes. This is called Saguna Brahman. Shiva needs no effort to separate himself from the body as he has never been one with it in the first place. Hence, Shiva is called Niyogi, which means the one who is always apart from the body. We incorrectly identify with the body, but this is in fact our own story. Our real nature is consciousness, which has no death. When the hot water cools down, we don't refer to it as if it had vanished. The world is born due to beingness. Swarup, our true nature, is motionless. There are no movements in your true nature. All the movements that we see are due to consciousness. There are many places with various names, but they are not inherently dynamic. The activities are due to the creatures living in them. There are many names that are ascribed to God, which portray him as the one involved in various actions like spreading news of Maya or of existence. The world always accompanies the consciousness, but Paramatman is beyond our actions. It is like we are dreaming our own bodies to be frantically moving while the physical body remains motionless. The world that is seen during the waking state is born with our sense of being. But we think that we are born in this world and will die in it. This misconception gives rise to the fear of death. The news of our being is the proof of existence of God. Our existence is an advertisement for Paramatman. The one who understands the transitory nature of mundane existence and of this world is not affected by the fear of death. He observes the world by being one with his consciousness. Whatever is incomplete can be witnessed, but not that which is complete. Purna, the complete, non-dual, and absolute self, cannot be witnessed, because it has no second thing besides itself to perceive or to witness. It doesn't need a location to manifest or a space to occupy. It is everywhere, and there is no place where it is not. Maya, the illusion, rests in the realm of knowingness. The fact that we did not exist 100 years ago is a proof that Maya had not appeared yet. All the falsehoods ultimately vanish and merge into its knower. In Jnani, the experience of the world comes to rest. Various experiences of the world outside do not remain with us but keep on changing from moment to moment. Experiences come and go, leaving their true witness in us intact and unaffected. That silent witness of all the experiences is complete, omnipresent, and one without a second. Being non-dual, it has no self-awareness in itself. In the absence of the sense of being, the self does not experience states of life, such as waking or dreaming. Without the waking, sleep, and dream states, Paramatman was blissful, except that his sense of being, awareness of the sense of I, was missing. In the absence of the body-mind, there were no activities due to mental modifications. The Guru tells us that we are immortal. In fact, we are beyond birth and death, and our mortality happened due to our acceptance of a body with the name and form as our nature. Only when the Guru's advice is imbibed as our own undeniable experience does the true awakening take place, that you are, in reality, immortal. Then you will know how this world experience merges in you. You are the knower of consciousness. Knowledge of consciousness fulfills the need to exist. All events in the world happen according to the traditions. Very few individuals try to know their own position in all this. Even fewer people pause to think, who is the enjoyer of this world? For whom is this world useful? The one who comes to know the origin and the meaning of the world loses all belief in its reality. Being born out of nothingness, this world can only be mithya, a myth. What can be the usefulness of truth of this world that has essentially originated in mithya? All that is going on here is the game of bodies made of 5 elements and of the life force. All this together constitutes the world. There is no truth other than your real nature. The traditions provide a guideline to conduct the activities of the world. God himself manifested in so many different incarnations to uplift the world. Many persons throughout human history tried to uplift the condition of the people. Where are all of them now? A jnani is neither attracted nor repelled by anything. That which is heated must eventually cool down. We have little choice about things that happen in the world. They happen of their own accord. We hardly even have any control on the functioning of our own bodies and in continuing its existence. What control can we have on the universe? We ought to ask the question now during our own time here. Those who fall ill, if not treated, can die. But where will they go? Have they really come here in reality, that we can say that they go away? The zeal for the perpetuation of knowingness or the feeling that I exist as a person prompts one to carry out all the activities of life. But this knowingness itself is impermanent and cannot possibly bring about anything that is perpetual. After all, this knowingness is all within the realm of unreality. It's like a flower that blossoms and withers away into nothingness after a momentary existence. Knowledge of the world is needed only until one realizes one's true nature. It is necessary to know that which pervades and witnesses our body and its functioning. You have not even known your own reality, and you want to uplift the world? The fragrance of an incense stick is limited by the time it burns. In the same way, your sense of being also has a life limited by the body being alive. You smell Vasu, your being Deva, as long as quintessence of food is available to sustain life. Thereafter, what was unreal vanishes again. Lord Vasudeva is in you. That which did not exist in reality disappears from the unreal as well. Our existence is for a limited time, and we have no power to continue it as we like. This is true for all, from a tiny worm to Lord Brahma. When you became aware of your existence, the world outside invaded your being, making you desire for a house, a wife, a family, and all of the possessions. But when the unreality of these things is realized, you lose the desire for them. You even lose interest in your own knowingness. When the body is in pain, the ailment needs treatment to cure the disease. In the same way, the pain of knowingness, or the feeling that I am this person, brings with it the necessity of soothing ointment of indifference to the world outside, like wealth, family, and material possessions. A remedy for this illness needs purification of prana and sattva in the body by chanting mantras. By chanting, these tendencies are mitigated and removed. Then you know what your consciousness is. When the origin of consciousness is known, the work is done, and the need to exist ends. One realizes at this stage that he is just a small seed from which the giant tree of the manifestation springs up. When this jnana, or the knowledge that I am Brahman, is acquired, it is also known that in reality it is nothing but ignorance. Then there is no possibility of being proud. For anything to happen, the seer of the event must be present. That is nothing but your knowingness. But the true knowledge, the mind, comes to an end. A jnani is not limited to his body. His body is the entire universe, and the mind becomes the cosmic mind. When there is no more doer or creator, where is the question of the world being true or false? Remember, the consciousness is a product of 5 elements. Yogis without beingness attain bliss. The scriptures praise the Lord, the Paramatman or Paramatattva, the omnipresent principle. However, that is beyond all description. The scriptures try to provide some idea about that. All the praises are from an infinitesimal inkling of what they have known about that. The infinite consciousness has no vacuum within it. As such, there is not even consciousness of being, or the feeling that I exist. Consequently, there is no maya or illusion. There is no attachment, no knowingness, nor any transaction of activity. Even words like Atma do not touch it. Due to the presence of Atma, there was a slight appearance of beingness in the body. Since we assume the self to be dwelling within a body-mind complex, we imagine it to be the indweller or the Atman soul within us, one with the 3 gunas, namely sattva, rajas, and tamas, attributes that make up the human personality. The world experience belongs to these three gunas. The one who knows and understands that this knowledge of the world outside is not everlasting is the indweller, Antara Atma. This knowledge is the intuitive experience of the knowingness. You can call it Maya or God or by any other name. The consciousness that appears experiences the world. This consciousness is the quality of sattva or the food essence. Prakriti and Purusha are ultimately responsible for this. The one who realizes their temporary existence is God, or Ishvara. All experience is due to consciousness or Prakriti, which is the manifestation aspect of Brahman in the realm of time and space. Due to the presence of Atma, there is knowledge of existence that everyone likes to continue. That is self-love or the memory of our existence. The 5 elements and the 3 gunas combine to make the number 8, which is the incarnation number of Sri Krishna, or Paramatman, who knows consciousness most naturally and without any effort. He is apart from Prakriti and Purusha. Due to the ignorance about the source of our consciousness, the next closest thing that gets noticed is our body, which then becomes our identity. All our activities and creations in the world are due to prana. Yogis direct prana to the aperture of Brahman in the head and remain free of the sense of being. They are blissful in that state of non-being. Remember that all activities are of prana itself. Meditation helps in establishing self-knowledge. That which says, "Look unto me, meditate upon me, be devoted to me," is the indwelling awareness in all forms of life, but more strongly so in human beings. It is prior to all the experiences of life. You come to know about the world and Ishvara due to your consciousness. The knowledge of being is the basis of the entire creation. Consciousness arises without desiring for it. It is Hiranya Garbha, or the golden womb. In this womb there is something hidden. This knowledge of being hidden is within us, which is why it is called Hiranya Garbha, the golden embryo or the seed. The seed and the embryo hide something great within their tiny shape. A mighty tree that provides many knowers and fruits is potentially concealed within a seed. Likewise, the entire creation is concealed in your knowingness. This knowingness, or the sense of being, earnestly desires to know itself and its own true nature. And this desire, or the self-love, is spontaneous. The knowledge of one's being pure consciousness is also available within each of us, but to be permanently established in it, one has to meditate constantly. What should one meditate upon? Meditate on that which is eternally and uninterruptedly aware of this sense of being. That pure awareness is independent of the body and mind. The body appears only in one state, that is the waking state. But that awareness transcends all states. It is consciousness that knows its own existence and not others. Consciousness is always conscious of itself. The awareness that prevails even before you become aware of anything is Paramatman. All praises of him are mere pointers because he is beyond the description of the words. The idea of a person holds good only while his actions persist. Until this knowledge about one's real nature dawns, the body identification predominates. When the knowledge dawns, one identifies with the consciousness. If you want to remain truly selfish, know and remain as that which you are in reality. The one who discovers the true nature of oneself as pure awareness is the self-realized one. That is the true awakening.